basketball, but I have to start in the NBA with my team, the LA Lakers, making their annual trip to the United Center to take on the Chicago Bulls. They always play the Chicago Bulls on the road right before Christmas. I'm not really sure how or why the calendar always shakes out like that, but typically that's when they travel to Chicago to face the Bulls. And they fell to Chicago 115 to 110. Now, here's the interesting thing, and here's the irony about the Lakers, is all season, all offseason, the perceived biggest advantage that we thought the Lakers were always going to have against their opponents was their size, was their height. When you have a guy in Anthony Davis who, unfortunately, he will be missing the next month due to a sprained knee ligament, but normally you have him, DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, who, of course, wasn't playing due to health and safety protocols. He was away. But then you have LeBron, and you've got huge forwards like Carmelo Anthony and Trevor Ariza, who came back, made his first appearance of the season, made a season debut last night. You've got bigger guards in Westbrook. So the perceived advantage that the Lakers were going to have every single game that they played this year was the rebounding department. And though this team is 6th in the NBA in rebounding, 3rd in defensive rebounding, it's perplexing to me how often they get out-rebounded in games or during stretches or key moments and pivotal moments in games, especially down the stretch. It's mind-boggling to me that a team that's got so much height still finds a way to allow for offensive rebounds to opponents. And that was the problem last night, was rebounding down the stretch cost them. You have LeBron, who comes up with a huge defensive play, a huge defensive block on DeMar DeRozan, a signature patented kind of chase down block in a way by LeBron, just met him at the summit, turned him around, but they get an offensive rebound. And then DeMar DeRozan gets it back, and to his credit, he sticks the jumper. And on the ensuing possession, Lakers defense, they play great defense. They force a long miss. Offensive rebound tipped back out by Lonzo. And Lakers are forced to intentionally foul, and that's the game. But it's, again, mind-boggling to me that even with all this size, even with all this height, critical spots, critical junctures in games, they allow for offensive rebounds. And I'm not sure if it's a heart thing. I'm not sure if it's an effort or a desire, if it's just an unfortunate bounce, unfortunate touch on the rim. But that's something that they seriously have to clean up, because it's costing them games down the stretch. It's costing them opportunities to make their lives a lot easier. And I will say this, let me give credit to DeMar DeRozan. I've been saying for the last several weeks that DeMar DeRozan has been absolutely sensational this year. The type of season that he's having was worthy and is worthy of consideration for MVP status. That's how good this guy has been. He drops 38 points last night for the second consecutive time against the Lakers. He has set his season high 38 points both times against the Lakers, and even he admitted it's probably not a coincidence that that's happened. Had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 16 of 17 from the free throw line. But here's probably the most important stat there is. 0 3-point shot attempts. DeMar DeRozan has fully embraced who he is. He hasn't tried to change his game to fit today's NBA style. He's not jacking up and hoisting up tons of 3-pointers like people are hoping he will. He was 11 for 24 from the field. Shot all jumpers. And he scored 19 points in the fourth quarter. Get this. The best fourth quarter scorer in the NBA this season has been DeMar DeRozan, averaging 8 points per game, over 54% shooting from the floor, 45.5% from the three-point line, 91% from the free throw line in fourth quarters this year. He's been lights out in the fourth quarter. And on the season, he's been doing everything. 26 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 50% shooting from the floor. So DeMar DeRozan has kind of revolutionized and transformed the Chicago Bulls, and especially with the absence of Zach LaVine, he's been really carrying them and has been doing a marvelous job. And I have to give them credit, and I have to give him credit specifically for that turnaround. Lonzo Ball, of course, love to see that he's thriving in Chicago. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He's really found a comfort zone in the Windy City. Of course, only fitting that Alex Caruso would stick it to the Lakers. It seems like every former Laker sticks it, or some every player that's been spurned by the Lakers at some point in their career, always against the Lakers, has one of their best offensive performances of the season. It just seems to happen that way. And Alex Caruso, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. So those types of performances, I guess you would expect to see. But the thing is, for the Lakers, the shame is that this was a great effort by them. I really thought that they competed extremely hard, especially in that third quarter. They had a great third quarter and a great second half. LeBron had 12 points in the third quarter, and they just seemed to be conjuring up a much more profound defensive effort than what we've seen from them in games past. Again, I've talked about they can only pick and choose when they want to play elite defense. The makeup of this roster won't allow them to sit in the chair for extensive minutes every single game. So you're going to get about once every 2 weeks a really good defensive effort. And I really thought that they played extremely well, and LeBron found his stroke for the most part. Obviously not as much from the three-point line. But the problem is, what are we going to do now with Anthony Davis gone for a month? And this was the first opportunity last night to see, well, how is this chemistry going to work with LeBron and Westbrook? Can the two of them carry the day? That's why they traded for Westbrook. In circumstances like this, if one of the two superstars go down, do you have another superstar to ride shotgun with him? Because that's the idea of the construction of the team, is to always have two superstars on the floor at once. And so it looked like for a little bit Westbrook and LeBron were playing pretty well together. And Westbrook, to his credit, all season, and especially as of late over the last couple months, has been a lot more efficient and a lot more judicious with his shot selection. But still, the turnovers are just a huge impediment to this team. It's just shooting yourselves in the foot. He had 6 turnovers, and I love Westbrook. You can see his jersey's right behind me. Absolutely love Russell Westbrook. But I don't like that he committed a bad turnover late in the game. I didn't love that he was the one shooting the shot down the stretch on the second to last possession for the Lakers. I want the ball in LeBron's hands. And that's not a slight or an indictment on Westbrook. It's just, it's more paying a compliment to LeBron that I want the ball in his hands, making the decision down the stretch. And he was kind of taken out of the play. And you see the type of trust that he has in Melo. Carmelo Anthony was sensational. He had one of these throwback performances that he's been actually more prone to do and has been doing with more regularity with the Lakers. He had 21 points last night, and there was a specific sequence where that was really telling in the fourth quarter, where LeBron passed up 2 open shots to set up Melo for threes. And Carmelo Anthony knocked both of those down. And you could just see him brimming with confidence. And that's what you see night in and night out, especially between those two guys. And so there were a lot of great takeaways. Again, Melo played well. It was an encouraging sight just to see Trevor Ariza out on the floor. Still no Kendrick Nunn. Obviously, THT, Dwight, Monk, all those guys are in health and safety protocols. So Lakers were severely hamstrung. No Frank Vogel either, as far as their personnel. But those are the types of games that are just killers, because that's a perfect example of a game that the Lakers should have won yesterday, that were in the perfect position to win if you just get the rebound. One rebound ices the game, ostensibly. So I'm a little bit concerned now with Anthony Davis gone for a month, which I knock on wood, that's all the time that he has to miss. I'm glad that it wasn't a more severe injury than that. Certainly did not look good against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So wishing him a speedy recovery. But I'm just not sure what type of defensive performance the Lakers can conjure up every single night, especially without Davis now. And I thought last night was a good one to have and to get, and they let it slip through their hands. Let it slip through their hands.